the track listings and
well, the little guy said push the button and you record, and there you are. Push the button and you record.
What did David say a while ago?
I'm still trying to learn my new camera.
Not responsive for it.
And I wasn't really planning to start quite yet, but since I'm recording, why not? Hold on just a second.
Yeah, I just
listening to Rachel's live stream over there on the computer, and thought I'd make a little video story. I didn't make any plans really, but how about your stereophonic gear history? What kind of record player, stereo, music reproducer have you used throughout your lifetime? Now, as I'm an older fart than most of you, I've probably got a few more variations than most of you, but born in 1949. I remember hearing that when I was 2 or 3 or 4 years old, every year my parents would buy me a toy turntable, a toy record player, and I would play my little yellow golden records until it drove them crazy. And every year, by the end of the year, I'd broken it. I don't know if it was twice or 3 times that they claimed to have replaced it. Frankly, that's all before my memory. I do remember Fuzzy Wuzzy was a bear. Fuzzy Wuzzy had no hair. Fuzzy Wuzzy wasn't really Fuzzy Wuzzy, which was my favorite golden record of my childhood. When I was 6 or 7 years old, I think it was like the month before I turned 7. We moved from Carroll, Iowa to Omaha, Nebraska. And of course, I'm 7 years old. I remember very shortly thereafter seeing Elvis on TV on the Ed Sullivan Show. That's something the family watched on our old black and white Arvin TV that we finally got. I remember as a 4 or 5 year old getting our first TV, playing in the box out in the front yard. And I remember before we had a TV, our next door neighbor had a TV. Going over there, watch Howdy Doody with their family. But that's just like I say, I'm dating me. So we're in Omaha, it's 56, 57, somewhere around there. And we have had a record player that's always been there, the family record player, big brown plastic thing with a lid, and played 4 speeds of records. 78, 33, 45, and 16 RPM. And it would even take those great big discs that, of course, I don't think we had. I think we had one or two, I don't know what we had, but I remember that sometime over the course of time, somewhere, and I'm guessing in the 63 to 65 time zone, we got a stereo. We got Christmas money from Grandma. What are we going to spend it on? And we had a whole $100 now. And we ended up buying a Webcore suitcase stereo. Had 2 speakers that would go off to the side that kind of, the hinges, you could pick up the hinge and move them. But they were connected. They weren't, you couldn't take them out. Everything was all connected. And a turntable that flipped down, and like it folded up into like a suitcase and flipped down. It was portable. Terrible record player, but that was the record player that I used from whenever we got it until 1968. In the summer of 1968, I had come home from college and was working, and that old Webcore suitcase stereo was really bad. It sounded bad, screwed up your records. It was just, piece of junk. And or at least ours, the way we beat it up, it might have been a better piece of gear when we first got it. Who knows. So in 1968, I bought a Sony reel-to-reel tape deck with speakers on the lid. And this was a box about the size of a small reel-to-reel tape deck. It would hold the 7-inch reels. It wouldn't hold the great big ones. And it had a phono input. It had microphone inputs. I think it might even had a line-in input. Maybe that was the phono input. I'm not sure. But I bought that brand new for maybe $200, $150. It couldn't have been much more. I didn't have much money back then. And I bought an AR turntable that was real simple. It had an on-off switch. You wanted to change the speed, you had to lift up the platter, change the rubber band to 2 speeds, 33 and 45. And you had to put the needle on, you had to take the needle off. On-off switch. It was real simple. Worked pretty good. So I had that from the summer of '68 until... like I may have said before, I moved to California in 1970. In January 1970, I moved to California and got a job. That couple months later, when I got a job, I had a place to live and had with a steady income for the first time. I got my first credit. Pacific Stereo, bought a new stereo. I had to have a cosigner because I wasn't 21 quite yet when I got the loan. I had a friend at work co-signed it for me, and that's my first credit, was buying a stereo. I don't know how much it was, $400, $500. It wasn't a huge, I think it was a Pioneer and maybe a dual turntable or something. I remember I got some rectilinear Mini 3s, I think were my speakers. They sounded pretty good, 4-ohm speakers. But, and at some point, I think after I got the next stereo, at some point I had some rectilinear lowboy 3s. Those were real nice, but they were pretty big. And somebody wanted them real bad, and I wanted these speakers that I ended up owning that I still own. These Yamaha speakers that I got, so anyway, I had that Sony tape recorder, which would basically play a record. You could play a record with the little built-in amp and stuff, or you could play the tapes, and used it to record all the, basically record your album and just play the tape, so you don't wear out the albums. Did that a lot. Of course, I screwed up a lot of albums trying to make those mixtapes. Mixtapes on a reel-to-reel, pretty hard, pretty awkward, and of course, you could get, I don't know, if you taped at the slow speed, you got 3 or 4 hours, I think, I can't remember. Make a party tape and never finish it or something, but so onward and upward. In 1975, I went to the Halker Stereo store in Berkeley, California to buy a needle. I came home with a Yamaha CA800 amplifier and a Bang & Olufsen turntable. Now that amplifier I still have to this day, and it still sounds great. It's had a couple of service issues, but just routine, shit wears out. So that Yamaha CA800, I still have it, and if I pick up the camera and show you my gear, it's still sitting right over there. The Bang & Olufsen turntable was pretty spectacular for me at the time, 1975, but by 1985 I had had enough of it up to here. The needles wore out real quick. You had to buy a special needle that cost a large amount of money at the time. And then it developed some hum that nobody seemed to be able to get rid of. And I just gave up on it. Actually bought the turntable I own now, 1985. My most recent hi-fi gear, aside from CD players, is my Denon 32 LP, I don't know, direct drive turntable. Still sounds okay. Got a Shure cartridge on it. Just changed the needle recently, so it's not too bad. So that brings us to my, then On compact disc players, I bought my first compact disc player a couple days after Christmas, 1984. So that put me on the early side of people going over to the compact discs. And from 1984 till about 2014, 2015, I had moved over almost completely digital, bought lots of compact discs, bought very few records during that time period. Guys bought lots and lots of the new reissues on compact discs, lots of compilations on box sets, the whole world. But basically kind of quit buying records. Matter of fact, I think for 15 or 20 years I had my TV set parked in front of the record collection, so it was like a big hassle to even get back there to get one. And probably had crap stacked on the turntable cover for most of the time because I'm just a slob. I always have been. That's where we're getting to here in a moment. So I have lived with my stereo and its various CD upgrades since, like the last major change was the turntable in '85. Back in, I think, 2015, I finally, by this time I was listening to most of my music on my computer because it was, I had this bootleg urge. I've got about 9,000 shows or 9,000 plus shows on my hard drive right now. I got into bootlegs, and it was like you download them and you turn them, you burn them onto CD and this and that, and then you'd listen to them. Well, especially back then, most of the bootlegs weren't very good. Took a lot of time to burn them onto CDs, and I was listening to people talking about how they just listen to music on their computer. So I did that. I bought this Peachtree Nova 65 SE and a pair of small little matching speakers from Peachtree back in 2015, I think. Boy, they sound great. And they power my TV and my computer. And in my cramped up little room here, my one perfect listening chair, which I'm sitting on now, but I move it over a few feet, is right between the speakers. It sounds great. But so that's been my end. I've had Rune for years now. It's a wonderful program. It's kind of pricey, but I bought the lifetime one, and hopefully I'll live long enough to cheat them out of some money. But I think the last time I looked, I got about 4,700 albums. Those are all my store-bought albums that I've ripped onto CD. A lot of those, back in 2004, I upgraded my CD player from, I'd had a few in there because they don't last as long as good stuff, to a Masterlink 9600 hard drive recorder. So since 2004, I have been capable of recording my records onto a CD. It's a slow, long process. The easy, fun part is listening to the record. That's easy. Then you got to split it off into tracks and normalize it so it sounds good and then burn it. That's the hard part. And I would do it once in a while. Not very often, most of the time if I have lots of CDs, and so I listen to CDs in the car, listen to CDs, listen to my digital music on my computer. And after listening to the digital music on my computer for a while, I discovered, I think my sister gave me an iPod. The iPod, that's the first digital music player for the headphones and stuff. Well, after I got used to the iPod, I finally bought a Theo, which is a much better version. You don't have to play MP3s or Apple Music. You can play FLAC or Waves or A-Lift, whatever kind of files you want. They'll play them all, it seems like. And it's a little thing about the size of a pack of cigarettes, and plug in your headphones and it sounds great. has a couple of little SD micro cards in it, and I think you can load as much, and of course if it's MP3 you can load even more. I tend to have everything in FLAC, and last time I loaded it up and looked, I think there was like 12,000 songs on it. So little thing, and I used it for years, years and years as my music at work. I just plugged it right into a pair of Bose computer speakers, powered computer speakers, and there you went. It was a great little music at work system. I still have the FIO. I use it on those rare occasions when I go out for a walk or do some exercise. I prefer to listen through speakers. And so I'm going to try and pick up the camera and just show you my actual room as we see it now. I would say forgive the mess, but there isn't a real forgiveness for this mess. I ran out of room a long time ago. So here we go. Let's see if I can pick this camera up and... Oh, look at that. That's how I wanted to do it. Over here, that's the Masterlink 9600. And that's a hard drive recorder. They don't make them anymore, but they're sure nice to have. Next door to it there is my Yamaha CA800 amplifier. And next to this is my Denon turntable from '85. What do we got on the turntable? Something I just got in the mail the other day, the Dave Clark 5. Gotta like them. So, coming back a little bit, go up in the air. There's one speaker there and one speaker there up in the air where they don't do much good, but they still sound great. And then next door to that speaker over there is a couple of Boston Acoustics smaller speakers that I used to use. I liked them. I saved them. I did not use them, but I don't have a place to use them right now, and so they've just been sitting there. And there's some of my Snap and Store boxes up there. That's all Grateful Dead, I think, up there. And then as we swing around, I put up a bunch of long boxes and posters and stuff. Oh, geez. Well, right above the doorway here, you will see a line of posters. I guess my lighting's not too good. Little poster cards with the zigzag guy. Bought those at an art show from the artist Mouse. Oh, years and years ago. $8 or something for the set. And then a bunch of long boxes that I just cut the artwork off of. There's a picture of me that somebody painted at some meeting. Poster of Mink DeVille. I like Mink DeVille a lot. Let's go A's. I think I put this stuff up, probably 15 years ago. I don't really move shit around very much. Got a few more little ones over here. Pretty sloppy. This is my newest thing over here. These bricks. You can see this is a Dave Alvin poster that they were giving away. It wasn't printed right. It was missing a couple of colors. It was, the batch or something. But it was hanging out there. I took it home. It was all right. There's some more boxes of my records I don't know what to do with. You'll see the back of my TV here coming around. There's one of those Peachtree speakers. TV. Over here behind the TV is about half of my compact discs in these little Snap and Store boxes. Almost all of those are already on my hard drive, so I don't have to get to them very often. Got me a little printer and copy machine, I guess. My computer has got a couple of screens, so let's see. Looks like Mazzy's talking on Rachel's hard drive. And then over here, we got my bricks and boards that have been holding my records. I moved these bricks and boards into this room about 35 years ago. And when I moved in here, it was just the 4 shelves were pretty much full. Since that time, I've got the fifth shelf up there on the top. That's all my old classical and just stuff I didn't know how to categorize. And a bunch of books, some of which I want, and some of which I just threw up there and I don't know what I'm going to do with it. Let's see, over here, these are like my various artists stuff. It's really not much to see on the video. A couple old wine bottles, an old Grateful Dead wine bottle. But I got all these records, and I got more records, more CDs, more records. These are just my most recent CDs. You go down to the next room, the junk room, or the cat box room, has got more CDs that I can't fit. These two boxes right here, those are full of just the CDRs from the LPs I've ripped in the last. These two boxes, plus I got one that's almost completely full next to the computer, are the boxes of are the albums that I've converted, I've digitalized this year. Oop, there's a very rare side of my cat that is just petrified of everybody. I don't think he's ever seen the camera. Mac usually jumps so fast out of the space when he sees me. And then, you know, junk on the bed that I gotta fix up. And my other cat, both cats in the same room at once. That's real. And then there's just, you know, there's junk up here I gotta deal with and get rid of. I got a clock that screams like a cat on the hour, and I got junk and stuff and books and bookcases and, you know, more crap everywhere. It's getting worse and worse too. Over here, one of my best friends passed away April of 2020, and I was asked to relieve her apartment of her music. Nobody else seemed to want it. It's been in my garage for about a year plus. I finally pulled it out the other day, wanted to go through it. There's a lot of good stuff, a lot of bad condition stuff. Couple of things. The one thing that I'm real excited, I'm going to clean it before I listen to it. Can't remember where I put it now, but yeah, right in here. We got Lenny Bruce, the Midnight Concert, and we got Lenny Bruce, the Berkeley Concert. Those two, I think I got 2 copies of this one here, the original soundtrack from the film Black Orpheus. This one's got Nicky's name on it. Nicky and Tony were best friends for a long time. We lost Nicky way too soon a long time ago. There's my Care Bear. I don't know why I got it. My wife won this as a Christmas party gift a long time ago where she worked, and we've had it out. We put it away for a few years, but we got it back out when one of our friends' kids had kids. Its babies seemed to love it. I don't know what I had to put a belt around it so it didn't fall off of its chair there. Over there we got a few little. This is a hutch that we inherited from Susie's folks. When Susie's mom moved in with us for 10 years, and we got all their stuff that they didn't sell. And got most of it. This is about the only thing big that we kept. There's my cat again. My living room looks like a mess because it is. The reason I'm shooting this video now about stereo equipment is because over here we got a wall. Susie decorated this wall pretty nice. Those shot glasses, I had a huge shot glass collection, if anybody is a shot glass collector, but I quit drinking 14 years ago, so I don't really have much of a need for it anymore. Back in, I think, 93 or 94, we went to New Orleans for the Jazz Fest. That was the year, that was the bandana that year right there. Got a few Well, my brother's wife gave us that one Christmas one year, but we got a few posters, a few pictures from New Orleans, and then we got, you know, just a regular old house. We had a mantle on the fireplace, but it fell off. That mirror was on the mantle and it didn't break, which was nice. And the TV, I've been trying to move things around a little bit because tomorrow I'm going to get a shipment with my new clip-shorn Scalas. And then Monday I'm going to get all the other hardware, I think, that we're going to buy. So we'll have, here I'm going to do this, that's enough walking around the mess. Do this little flip and see if I can get back in the picture all right. Not very technologically adept, but I got this new camera. I don't know all the tricks about cutting it up and editing and all that, and I finally figured out how to just record it and how to upload the recording. I got that far. One of these days I'll learn a little more, but for now I just want to say that I have so after 45 years plus with the same stereo, and after I've lived in this house, we've lived in this house for 40 years, and in June I lost my wife, 39 days short, 50th anniversary. And right before that, I got enough money that I can afford to buy a good stereo. That money that I was not expecting to have. And so it's like extra free money. I like free money. So I finally pulled the trigger. I bought a stereo with a clip-shorns. Not clip-shorns, the Scalas. When I went out, I drove to Sacramento to listen to clip-shorns, the Scalas and Cornwalls and Fortes and Heresies and all those super duper clip speakers. And as much as I had wanted those clip-shorns, I couldn't see them fitting in my house at all. And they need a corner, and I don't really have a corner. Not real sure yet what I'm going to do putting them, but I decided it was probably easier to buy this stuff, have it here, and just figure out what to do with it once you get it. So that's where I'm at that now. I'm kind of looking for a decorator or designer or somebody to set up my library. Like my room here that I've been in for 35 years out of the 40 years we lived in this house. We've been out of space now for a long time. I didn't show them to you, but I got 6 more bags of records in my bedroom, which is way too small too. So I'm just going to try